Hi, I'm Jerry Springer, and I am really excited about today's show.
He changed the face of talk TV.
You said Jerry Springer, and it brought to mind craziness, wildness.
The crowds were just going bananas.
We set out to make high drama.
It was like, what is this?
And became ringmaster of an endless circus.
She came out with stakes taped to her body.
She was a mad she-male. It's absurd.
From knockdown, drag-out brawls.
Get a divorce, bitch. I will. Shut your face right now.
Once he's on the ground, then I'm going, come on, come on, come on.
To the center of a political storm.
Talk shows are garbage.
I was pretty much thinking, you don't have to watch us. Find a hobby.
These are the stories behind television's most outrageous show, told by those who live them.
My grandma said to me, "Oh, Carrie, that's just terrible that you're working for that show."
Now, let me show y'all my $1 million position.
You want to be intellectual? Read a book. This is entertainment.
When Jerry Springer ruled the world.
In a world where only
Oprah
Sold and
Fighting was a crime.
our talk shows
were taken over and turned into a circus
And so began a time of pure mayhem.
where only
freaks
reigned.
And what's the
The
name
name
of
of
the
the
game?
game.
When Jerry Springer ruled the world.
We were the #1 talk show in America and in the world.
Now, if we could all just hold hands.
This silly show had become a phenomenon.
Jerry Springer!
They wanted Jerry to come down and do spring break for MTV.
Now, this is MTV. This is college kids. They're chanting for good old Uncle Jerry.
Today's show's about fantasies.
Young, gorgeous girls throwing themselves at Jerry.
Everyone was chanting, Jerry, Jerry.
Then it kind of hit me that the show, we're #1.
There was nobody bigger than Jerry Springer.
I'm your basic schlub that lives next door. All of a sudden, I get this show that's all over the world. How lucky am I?
Jerry Springer was born in England in 1944 from parents who had moved from Germany and survived the Holocaust.
Much of my family was exterminated in the concentration camps of Nazi Germany. My parents survived all that. Then when I was 5, they bought 4 tickets on the Queen Mary, and we arrived at the New York Harbor, going past the Statue of Liberty. My family really was the American dream.
Jerry has had 9 lives, just like a cat.
He has been an attorney, a civil rights activist.
Jerry was also a 2-term mayor in Cincinnati.
Thank you for letting the son of refugees of Nazi Germany make it in America.
Jerry was definitely a maverick politician and a bit of a showman. One time he wrestled a bear at the convention center during a show.
We were trying to raise money for the 1980 Olympics, and every minute we could stay in the ring, we would raise several $1,000s. Second round, I tapped the bear on the nose. Boom!
Watch out, you got it!
I never saw it coming. I went to City Hall the next day with a big welt, feeling like a fool.
3, 2, 1.
He went to becoming a commentator, and then he went to becoming a newscaster.
So over the next hour, we'll explore a variety of topics that you'll find on the ballot tomorrow.
During his stint at Channel 5, he won 7 regional Emmys for his thoughtful essays.
We have stopped teaching our kids values.
These later became the final thought for his talk show.
Anything that he did in his life, he always gave it 100%, so he was pretty successful at it.
In the early 90s, we were living in a talk show television world.
There was Oprah, there was Sally Jesse Raphael,
There was Maury Povich,
Jenny Jones.
Montel.
Everyone had a talk show.
The company that owned the station where Jerry worked also owned the Phil Donahue Show.
I guess they knew that Phil was getting close to retirement, so one day they said, we're going to start another talk show, you're going to host it.
Hi, I'm Jerry Springer.
Honestly, I thought it'd be on the air for 6 weeks, if that.
In the early days, the show was very different than it is today.
The first episode he did was a reunion of lost family members.
Jane, I want you to hold my hand.
What I most remember about that show,
you are going to meet your daughter, Sandy, who you have not seen in 35 years.
I turned to the wrong door.
Sandy?
I said, here she is. And of course, she was over there. Well, I mean, there were a lot of real amateur-type mistakes.
In 1991, I was writing for Penthouse magazine, and I got a call, and I was asked if I wanted to work on the Jerry Springer Show. The first time I met Jerry, he came into the office, and we started having laughs. We hit it off right away, and I really liked the guy. Then we're going to tape the first show that I've ever seen of Jerry Springer, and standing in front of me is this guy I didn't even recognize.
Hi, I'm Jerry Springer, and I am really excited about today's show.
Didn't look like Jerry at all. He had these glasses on, they were too big for him, he had his hair combed back.
You won't want to miss this one.
So we did the show, and I just thought it was awful.
The set was like a bank lobby, and Jerry was like a banker. It was just a flat color and some chairs, and that was it.
He just looked so uncomfortable. So right away, I thought, this is silly. They're trying to make this man into Phil Donahue, and he's not Phil Donahue, he's Jerry Springer.
Anybody that's not going to be your friend because you're overweight is probably not someone you want to have as a friend anyway.
For the first several years, it was a traditional talk show.
Real issues, real people, real life.
It's boring, but it was traditional.
The show had a mix of different topics.
We did shows on violence in schools, on the importance of organ transplants.
Grandparents raising grandkids, and fathers who hate Barney.
Jerry interviewed people like Jesse Jackson, Oliver North.
There's a part of me that at times, if I were big enough and I'm not, would want to shake it by the ankles and say, what the hell were you doing?
And I always kind of snuck in the odd shows.
Today, adults who act like babies. You gotta see it to believe it. Jerry, we can't blame them. We have to blame the doctors. You are narrow-minded poopy head.
I always pushed for those kinds of shows, but they were pretty much few and far between.
Tough. Well, I think that's the kind of stuff that belongs in a diaper.
From the producer's perspective, you wanted something with a little more pizzazz.
Please welcome Richard Simmons.
You were just looking to bring in things that would make the show a little more exciting.
We had a brilliant host, but the ratings weren't great. And I think the reason being is there's so much of the same thing on television at the time.
By 1993, the survival of the Jerry Springer Show was a legitimate question.
It was not a show that would break through. That was clear.
I just sat there and thought, this really is not going anywhere.
We were really worried about that because we knew that if the ratings didn't go up, that the show was going to get canceled.
Coming up, the naked truth about Springer's turnaround.
What are you doing?
I'm being me.
The show started going crazy.
Strippers, Klan people, fat people. We just went buck wild.
Also, when Jerry attacks.
Shut your face right now.
Jerry just lost it.
And later, life is good on Planet Springer.
It was, my God, what did we create? We created this monster.
Coming up on When Jerry Springer Ruled the World.
If you don't have a place to live, the first thing you do is say, I'll do whatever it takes, I'll sweep floors, but I'm gonna work, right?
By the 93-94 season, despite their best efforts, the Jerry Springer Show still wasn't busting out of the pack.
I don't want a handout, all right?
In April of 1994, they said, we're canceling the show in November. Don't do anything to upset the apple cart or whatever that old saying is. So the first thing we did is me and Jerry had lunch.
We were having this conversation and had the idea, let's appeal to young people.
You know, what's going to get the young college crowd? Well, at that time, we went sexy.
What are you doing?
I'm being me.
And well, the company went nuts. They called me and screaming, we're going to fire you. And you have, you know, today and only today to straighten this mess out. So then that day we did a centerfold.
I don't think we ever intended to really go off the deep end. We only intended to be young.
You really clean?
I really clean. I do a hell of a job, lady.
The numbers kept going up, and we didn't get fired.
My God, it's unbelievable.
So I said to Jerry, we got to continue to do this, but you've got to be willing to cross over the line to do this crazy show.
The problem was I wasn't young, and I'm not cool, and, would that work? But we decided to give it a shot. The show started going crazy.
Please welcome the host of our show, Mr. Jerry Springer.
The first thing we did is we did the Jerry. The plan was I wanted people to know who Jerry Springer was.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Donna, why are you here today?
I'm here today because I'm tired of everybody fighting.
One of our first Wild shows, we brought a dysfunctional family on to make amends over their holiday feast.
I hate his guts. So...
They ain't making up. They ain't making up.
The idea that you would have the warmness of a family Thanksgiving and then with the absurdity of a food fight. I kind of enjoyed that show. I thought that was a good show because it was so silly.
The next few shows evolved into where you had transvestites and you had midgets.
Strippers, Klan people, fat people. We just went buck wild.
I may be fat, but I am a real woman.
It's absurd.
And we got the numbers in, and we knew right then that we had found something.
It was an endless circus.
Once the show started to get popular, the phones really started ringing off the hook.
Are you involved in a love triangle and you want to confront the other lover on our show?
The job of the production assistant is to call back these leads and say, hi, Susie, you called in about a love triangle. Tell me what's going on.
If you were to confront this man, Mike, what would you say?
Jerry never said he wouldn't do a certain type of show, but I know there were times when he was like, where'd you find these people?
He's actually been sleeping with her best friend, who happens to be a man.
There are definitely areas and states that we tend to get more guests from.
You're sleeping with your niece. What are you doing?
Yeah, but Jerry, where I come from, it's okay.
I'm training for that Jerry Springer show.
Basically, my responsibilities are to bring all of the guests to Chicago to be on the show. And that can be a production in and of itself sometimes. One day, I was asked to bring 2 girls to Chicago. So I booked a flight and put them in aisles across from each other. 4 hours before the flight, I realized that they were Siamese twins conjoined at the eye.
Jerry Springer show is coming to tape us.
And immediately, I'm like, you guys, what am I going to do? This is an overbooked flight.
What's your seat number?
They accommodated us very nicely.
I had never seen in person conjoined twins, and I don't meet the guests prior to a show. But this time I said I want to meet them because I didn't know how I would react with the camera on.
One of them wanted to be a country western singer, and the other one actually didn't even like country music.
Here is Dory at the nightclub.
I went, I sure hope God gave her a beautiful voice to, at least make up for this challenge that they have. And then I heard her sing. She really, really wanted to be a country star. And I do think she achieved some success because she did get a recording contract and they did go to Nashville. So I hope they're happy.
Each producer on the show had what we call a beat. One producer would do the Klan shows. Another one would do the relationship, love triangle, conflict shows.
The talk show, there's no script, it's up to you guys.
To brief the guest before the show is a fine line to walk.
If it's the wife that's hearing that her husband is sleeping with the 16-year-old again, you'll tell her, listen, your life is terrible. You know what's going on. It's hell.
But you don't want to reveal everything because then you lose the drama on the stage.
You want to be with me, get on your knees and beg.
When we started to get involved in relationships and mistresses and wives and stuff like that, fighting broke out on the show.
we would find two groups that'd be at each other's throats the most. They knew that they were there to rumble. I mean, it was bad. So, you know, and fun, I guess.
So we started to bring in security guards.
I was working 4 to midnights as a police officer. They would call me up and say, we think there might be a problem at the show. Can you come work?
Settle down.
There you go.
Settle down.
Next day I know, it was like I was running on stage.
And the brawling got started. Jerry was very good at getting out of the way.
You know, okay, without fighting, and no one fights because I'm up here now. And I'm basically a chicken.
The only time I ever lost my cool in the show, we were doing this one show with these neo-Nazis.
It's Jerry and this guy with his kids, and he's raising his kids to be racist.
And this guy really was egging Jerry on.
I hate the evil.
Yes.
I hate you.
Yeah, okay. He's calling me, you hook-nosed Jew bastard, using all kinds of horrible, you know, anti-Semitic references. And honestly, I'm not getting angry because I know this is who he is. He's a neo-Nazi. That's what they do.
It's okay. He's upset because I didn't invite him to my bar mitzvah. Okay. So what?
And so finally he makes this unbelievably horrible statement.
I got your mom in the trunk of my car.
The whole studio for a second was like,
Jerry just lost it.
I know about 30 Shut your face right now.
Jerry got right up to him, and I mean, he really wanted a piece of the guy. When that guy stood up, I think Jerry, like, kind of looked out the corner of his eye like, where's Steve?
So security leaps up on stage, throws him down on the ground. And once he's on the ground, then I'm going, come on, come on, come on.
In 1995, the owners of the show wanted us to tone things down. And we would go into the studio and shoot the show the same way we always did. But by the time the owners got through giving us their notes, it would be this watered-down version.
We were airing everything right up to the fight and then sort of the aftermath after.
There, you'd have this show that was great and people loved it, but oh, it was so much better.
We knew that if the show could go out the way that we recorded it in the studio, that it would be like this huge hit. We knew it.
Next, it's Springer, No Holds Barred.
Brittany just stood up and wham! And the fight was on.
And later, Jerry Springer under attack.
There were news vans circling the building.
Pop shows are garbage.
Ahead on When Jerry Springer Ruled the World.
You say you've been a dog. Who have you been a dog with?
Her best friend.
By the mid-90s, it was a free-for-all in terms of what happened on talk shows.
We sort of found our niche, and we decided that the Springer Show boiled down to two things: confrontation and secrets.
It was this wonderful moment where we had this sexy girl come out, and she was a massage therapist, and she offered a free massage to anybody in the audience. And he goes up, lays on the table, and she gives him a big sensual massage.
Hey, buddy, get your hands out of your pocket.
And then the surprise was...
Well, I'm really a man.
And the kid jumped up and went, running off the stage, and it was hysterical.
We set out to make high drama.
For the past 7 months, I've been sleeping with my brother.
We wanted people to say, "Ooh, let's turn on Jerry Springer Show," but we don't know what's gonna happen.
Around 1995, we did a show. I slept with the babysitter.
I slept with our babysitter.
It was so passionate and such great guests.
Okay. All right.
babysitter's mad, the husband's angry, the wife's crying.
I am really disgusted in you, Cindy. I can't believe I'm so good.
It was intimidating. Everybody was yelling at me and screaming.
You're an idiot.
Makeup artist was crying.
I was devastated.
I remember walking out of the studio that day thinking, that was one of the best shows we've ever done. And the next day I read in the paper that it was fake.
So I was in a Canadian comedy troupe called The Blockheads, and we were big fans of the Jerry Springer Show. And we just made up the story that I was the babysitter and I was sleeping with the husband who was my friend.
He still phones me. Shows up at my work at least once a month.
Yes, it is true. Yes, it is true, and you know it.
We were pissed. We were pissed.
She was Actress of the Year.
Don't even talk to me, John. Don't talk to me.
She got my Academy Award.
Oh, my God.
I think it's nice to have all the shows be real, I guess. I know the company does. I don't particularly care. It's not like a jury trial. This is entertainment.
In 1995, an episode of Jenny Jones changed the way talk TV was produced.
The Jenny Jones Show did a show about secret crushes. There was a surprise meeting of two people.
One of the guys announced that he was in love with the other man, and this guy just couldn't take it. And he ended up killing the guy who had the secret crush.
You charge Mr. Schmidt with first-degree premeditated murder.
You first hear the story and you think, oh my God, what a terrible tragedy.
I was sure that that was the end of the Jerry Springer Show. Jenny was like Disneyland compared to our show.
You suddenly find that talk shows are in the center of some political firestorm.
Everybody went crazy.
Talk is indeed cheap.
Joe Lieberman is calling us everything in the book.
Demeaning, exploitative, perverted, divisive, and immoral.
Jerry stood his ground and defended his right to do the kind of show he wanted to do.
If people don't like it, and there are many people who don't, that's why God gave us remote control.
So you don't know why you're here?
No clue.
But you're thinking, this can't be good. This is the Springer Show.
I always thought that it was not important for anyone to approve of our show. What I couldn't understand is not protecting it.
A lot of the talk shows that were on the air at the time caved into the pressure to change the format of the show.
The show used to be called Geraldo. Now it was the Geraldo Rivera Show. He changed his image by putting on glasses. That's silly.
While the other talk shows toned it down, Springer went the other direction.
By 1996, there were lots of fights that were happening on the show, but most of them were being edited out of the final program.
Whoever owned us, they always hated the show. Then Universal bought us, and I explained to them why it was important. If there's a fight that breaks out, let it happen. And to their credit, they said, go right ahead and do it.
Universal said to us, from now on, you only do crazy. If someone calls us with a warm, uplifting story, we have to send them to another show.
The first time I actually saw a full-fledged knockout, drag-down fight, I was like, yeah, finally. This is the show as it was meant to be.
The crowd just goes crazy. It's so loud, and the whole studio is rocking. It's shaking.
People were shocked. I mean, this was daytime.
One time we had this wonderful transsexual on, Brittany, and she tore the place apart.
Brittany just stood up and wham! And the fight was on, and I mean, the whole stage went up.
Steve was just wrestling with her, and Brittany's big. I mean, she lives her life as a woman, but she's pretty built.
The fight just rolled out into the hallway.
Because you can't beat me. So let me go.
She was a madman. Or a mad woman. She was a mad she-male.
People, started looking at us now, saying, wait a minute, yeah, that shouldn't be on TV.
Outside the show, you're either going to get two reactions. They're going to think you're the devil for where you work, or it's the greatest show on television.
I came home from work and they were screwing in my bed.
So why
She just can't. I mean, she's a town whore.
2. What? 3. 5. Go up. 5.
My grandma said to me, "Oh, Carrie, that's just terrible that you're working for that show. I just can't believe it."
But what if he says, yes, it's true, he was sleeping with
Then
her?
I'll beat the hell out of him.
Oh.
The way I defended the working at the show for a long time is that, you know what, if you don't think that you have the same kind of drama in your life at one point or another, you're lying.
He ain't gonna
Why would a guy ever lie?
Despite all the criticism from some other parties, there was an audience out there to support this kind of television. In fact, we're entertained by it.
Oh, Jerry, you're so bad. You're so bad. You blow my mind. Hey, Jerry. Hey, Jerry.
The only reason why I knew that the fights were starting to show was because people started recognizing me on the street.
Female fans just started going crazy for him.
I rub my fingers through his hair.
Rub your fingers through his hair. Hey, there you go.
Back then, we used to tape the shows during the day. Then I'd start my shift as a policeman from 4 to midnight. People would call the police for domestic problems or whatever, and I'd show up at their door, and they'd answer the door, and they're like, "Oh, my God, Steve, what are you doing here? Can we get tickets to the show? How's Jerry?" I'm like, "You called the police because you got a problem, right?"
By 1997, the show had taken off. There was Jerry Springer on the heels of Oprah Winfrey, the queen of talk.
Everybody sort of had this idea that Oprah could not be beaten in daytime television.
And all of a sudden, we were getting closer and closer to Oprah.
There was a momentum here, an energy. We couldn't be stopped. And then, boom, it happened.
On the front page of the trades, it had said that we had beat Oprah. It was just a moment for me where I felt like we really had accomplished what we set out to do.
This was perhaps more shocking than the fighting itself on the Jerry Springer Show, that Oprah Winfrey's satanic opposite would grow in the ratings to defeat her.
And that just was the height of absurdity. I mean, there was no attachment to reality. I was like numb with it. It was like, what is this?
Coming up, Jerry on the hot seat.
It was right out of the movies.
Is the violence on your show staged or real?
I think they truly underestimated Jerry.
And later,
You can talk to the hand.
it's Jerry Springer, the opera.
You don't see Montel the opera.
Coming up on When Jerry Springer Ruled the World.
In 1998, Jerry Springer was a crazy year. The shows were probably the most extreme that they ever were.
We're beating Oprah's butt. Everyone's like, oh, Springer, people are taking their lunch hours just to watch our show because of all the craziness that's happening.
Everybody all of a sudden wanted to have a piece of Jerry Springer.
We went and did the Endymion Parade in New Orleans for Mardi Gras.
I never, ever dreamed that I would get to be the Grand Marshal.
It was 2.5 hours of non-stop chanting, Jerry, Jerry.
I looked at Jerry and I go, if I ever hear your name again, I'll kill you.
Our show eventually made it overseas.
They were actually adding subtitles to our show.
Suddenly, we're getting offers to go around the world. Jerry was asked to speak at Oxford.
I can't imagine this is what the founding fathers of Oxford had in mind.
Suddenly, I recognized that this show has nothing to do with me.
Get a divorce, bitch.
It has now become a thing in itself.
I got to remember what the story was about.
It was, my God, what did we create? We created this monster.
Now you're messing around with someone else.
Yeah, I'm messing around with a derby.
The anything goes culture of the Jerry Springer Show probably reflected things that were going on in the country.
My name became an adverb. You know, the White House has been Springerized.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
What?
I played around a little bit,
You did?
but I never slept with her.
You never slept with me.
You said Jerry Springer, and it brought to mind craziness, wildness, and it was everywhere. They were singing songs about it.
We started having Jerry Springer merchandise. A board game came out. We had a Jerry Springer Barbie doll. We had the bobblehead, a Springer Zinger Type B.
Once you become hot in the media, then everything is thrown at you.
He had a hit television show. He had a book coming out. He was making a movie. He was making lots of money. He had a private jet.
All these opportunities I get just because of this television show. So I am so appreciative.
With Jerry's success, ultimately came just as much controversy.
A lot of the media critics and a lot of the politicians are thinking, whoa, you know, this man is not only putting terrible television on in their mindset, but it's also number one. And what does that say about the American viewing public?
At the height of the show's popularity, there was a priest in Chicago.
Talk shows are garbage.
That guy hated the Jerry Springer Show.
Tell your neighbors, tell your co-workers, tell your friends, and we expect to win. Somebody say win.
He decided to make this his mission to go after Jerry and the show. And it was a little bizarre to come to work and have people protesting outside.
I taped 3 episodes, and by the time I finished watching the 3, I was ready to vomit.
I was pretty much thinking, this is us. You don't have to watch us. How about find a hobby?
As the fighting continued on the Jerry Springer Show, on every program, every day, it was logical to wonder if these fights were fake in some way.
In '98, Extra came out with a story that said that we staged our fights. That was a terrible, dark day at the show.
I remember sitting in my office thinking, you gotta be kidding me.
Guys, that's my wife.
We're not 60 Minutes, we're the Jerry Springer Show.
There were news vans circling the building.
I'm going to talk about it in there.
The question of whether the Springer fights were fake or real became the subject of an infamous hearing before the full city council in Chicago.
If the show was fake, the show needed to be exposed for what it was. And if it was real, they felt that the guests needed to be arrested when they broke the law.
If I was to suddenly grab this book and walk up to you and smack you with it,
Yeah.
would you think that I was committing a violation?
It was right out of the movies, you know. It was like the Army McCarthy hearings.
I think they thought, oh, he's a talk show host, and we're going to put him on the spot and get to the bottom of this. But I think they truly underestimated Jerry.
Is the violence on your show staged or real?
Overwhelmingly, the show is real, yeah.
They went out of their way to try to bring us down. And they didn't.
It's a television show. It's a television show. We will all survive it.
Studios USA, led by Barry Diller at the time, was pushing to limit or get rid of all the fighting on the Jerry Springer Show.
To be honest, we continued fighting. 6 months later, you tell Dominic that he's fired if he don't stop the fighting. Well, fire me. Then one day I got a phone call and that the people that I report to are going to lose their job if I don't stop the fighting. And that's when the fighting had to stop.
When the hammer first came down, the hammer didn't come down. The hammer just crushed.
Sit down and stay in your seat.
It was like taking the car chases out of Dukes of Hazzard. That's what people tuned in for. We got to set a rule. People couldn't get out of their chair, and people couldn't point.
You're not happy with who your daughter dates?
That's right.
I actually produced a show where we had a midget family having some major family problems.
What's wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
He's a stripper.
I'll never forget, Steve Wilkos had been given specific instructions that no one was to stand up, no one was to point in the face of another guest.
Soon as we get home, you pack your damn bags and get out of my house.
I'm looking at the lawyer. The lawyer looks at me. I got to go up there. I got to go, sir, you got to get back in your seat.
Sit down now.
Sit down.
Oh, that, sir.
I knew then, I was like, ugh, what are we doing?
Oh, we're still rolling? Oh.
It was a little bit scary, you know, and we didn't exactly know where the show was going to turn.
You're beating Oprah every week. Next thing you know, you can't show that anymore. So how are we going to survive?
Next, brace yourself for Springer Cam.
Our country is all kinds of people. And they don't all look drop-dead gorgeous.
Ahead on When Jerry Springer Ruled the World.
When the Jerry Springer Show really hit its height, there was nothing our guests could not do. Chair throwing, pulling hair, everything.
But by the end of 1999, Barry Diller, who was the owner of the show, had laid down the law. No more fights, no more nudity.
Overnight, they couldn't point a finger at each other. They couldn't get out of their chair. It was just night and day.
We got to figure out, how do we save the show? I can't allow it to die after all these years.
We went on hiatus and we said, what direction are we going to take the show?
We realized that everybody asked the same question. Where do these people come from?
And we thought, well, wouldn't it be great if we could show the viewer at home a little slice of their life?
We decided, well, maybe what we'll do is we'll go to their homes and we'll see where they live. And we'll do part of the show on camera. So we came up with the Springer Cam. And that got us through that hump of keeping the show in the air and keep it interesting.
On the next Jerry Springer, Springer Cam exposes an abusive boyfriend.
Get up off your fat ass and fix me some spaghetti.
You never met a mother quite like me.
Our country is all kinds of people. And they don't all look drop-dead gorgeous.
We had some pretty weird guests with Springer Cam.
I have a fetish.
We had one woman with the freakiest food fetish.
Pork chops on my face really turn me on. Have sex with me! Have sex with me!
Ma'am, please.
She came out with steaks taped to her body and pork chops, tore off her dress, chased Steve around the audience, and threw steaks at Todd, screaming, "Please have sex with me."
Hell, man, stay away from me.
The Springer Cam years were kind of lean years.
It was tough because we had to switch gears.
The ratings obviously came down, but it stayed on the air and it was still making money, but it wasn't the show that it was.
We missed the confrontation because that's what the excitement was backstage, but ultimately we got through it.
And little by little, we got our show back.
Other guys in our town that you can be sleeping with. He feels the way I do. He's lonely too. You're never there.
The show today is just a great mix of what the Jerry Springer Show has been the past 14 years. We have fighting. We have the outrageous characters.
Do you feel a little bit foolish?
No, I don't, Jerry. This is what I do for a living. I enjoy the stuff like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, no Golden Globes, no Emmys, no respect.
Take everything that's happened, the ratings, beating Oprah. The biggest reward I ever received was TV Guide named us the worst show in the history of television.
That's a pretty huge achievement.
Now let me show y'all my $1 million position.
And it was actually great. You don't want to be the second worst.
You take the worst show in the history of TV. All right. And suddenly they're making an opera out of it.
Jerry Springer, the opera, was based on the show and was a huge hit in England.
You can talk to the hand, cause the face ain't listening.
It's something quite new and thrilling. The music is delicious.
It's betrayal and it's revenge and it's all those wonderful things that we do on our show. And the fact that they made an opera out of it, I mean, you don't see Montel the opera. I think that we're on that ride again where the show is going to take off.
I know you guys are happy I'm still alive.
I don't think we're going to put Jerry on the cover of Rolling Stone, but I think we're going to do the show for 5 to 10 more years.
As long as Jerry wants to do the show, the rest of us will want to do it with him.
Make a wish. 4 more years. There'll never be a show like the Jerry Springer Show.
Look at your big ass, okay? Hello, hello.
I think it appeals to the voyeur in all of us.
5 years from now, 10 years from now, people will know exactly what we were, the phenomenon we became.
I tell you what, Jerry, why don't you come and try to lick some off?
I'm on a diet.
Springer made us laugh, and he made us throw chairs at our neighbors. That's an important legacy you can't shake. Not in this lifetime.
You want to be intellectual? Read a book. You know, go to the library. But television is basically for an escape.
Then there's Oprah, Phil, and Sally, and Jerry Springer too. A little dose of a talk show host. You won't see quite as blue.
It's been one hell of a ride. We stood in the face of the critics. We fought together, and we won. And we made a lot of money. And that ain't bad either.
I got lucky. That's what it is. I won the lottery. You know, I have a lucky life.
Till next time, take care of yourself and each other.